That's better. Okay, ladies and gents, here we are back again. Today I've got some more science fiction to show you that I've been steadily piling up for the last month or so. But I've actually been waiting for a decent afternoon to get some light on the subject, but it was sunny, now it's clouded over, so I just hope the lighting's good enough. Right, I'll crack on today because I've got quite a few to show you. I've got these in from various sources, so we'll kick off with the charity shop stuff. It's amazing what you can pick up for a couple of quid these days in charity shops, you know. Here we go. That's the Golden Age, Mammoth Book of Golden Age Science Fiction. A lot of this stuff goes back to the 40s, 50s. Any of you familiar with science fiction will recognise quite a few of those old timers. I mean, you know, a couple of quid, it's in absolutely lovely condition. I mean, as I said many times, I don't mind books that are not quite mint, but I do prefer them in mint condition wherever possible. Right. That one now, this is a Greg Bear book. Greg Bear died recently. We've got quite a body of work behind him. I've not read anything by him, but anyway, City at the Edge of Time. Again, another lovely condition book. Just for a couple of quid, you can't complain at all. Right, now these were a real good buy. Jack Vance. You don't see many of Jack Vance's books in the wild. I picked up a couple. But Leoness. I'm not familiar with this series. I think it's more a fantasy series. But there's three in the series, and I managed to pick up all three for a couple of quid each, which is a very, very good price for Jack Vance's, I can assure you. That's Leoness 2. And for some reason, Leoness 3 comes in this large edition. I don't know why, whether it was a later printing or whether it was designed that way, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the three Leoness books, as I say, all for a couple of quid each, so can't complain. Now, even better, I didn't intend to, but excuse me, I've just branched out into hardbacks. I don't buy a lot of them, just where I see them cheap. And as I say, these were all charity book pickups, just for £2 each. Right, now I covered Rendezvous with Rama in my Hugo project recently. This is the second book in hardcover. Again, you know, not in bad condition at all. Now, normally I would have called this a first edition, but I've been informed by the Outlaw bookseller, who's a very wise gentleman and knows far much more than I do, that the correct term is actually first printing, not first edition. Because apparently edition relates to content, so you could have a book that's been revised, which becomes a second edition, and maybe another revision, you know, and so forth, becomes a third, fourth, whatever. So although the terms are interchangeable, the absolute correct term for a book that's is a first printing, which this is. So again, as I say, not bad for a couple of quid. Then we have the third book in the series, Garden of Rama. Again, you know, not exactly mint, but it's certainly still in nice condition for a hardback. Garden of Rama. Again, that's a first printing and that's the fourth book of the core series anyway, Rama Revealed. Now, of course, Clark only acted as editor and advisor on these three books. This guy, Gentry Lee, actually wrote them, but I would imagine Clark's input was rather great. That's why his name appears first on there. And again, that's the first printing. So we have 3 first printings of Rama books for the measly sum of £6. And then the other one I got from the charity shop was hardback, was The Martians by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is like a companion to his other Mars books. Is it Blue Mars, Green Mars, and Red Mars? Excuse me, I'm getting the frog. And it's basically it's a book of short stories, stuff related to his Mars books. But then again, it's the first printing and same price, same condition. The other couple of charity, let's just move some of these. So I've got a little bit of room. Excuse me 1 second. Shift those out of the way. Right, there were a couple of other charity shop specials. Perdido Street Station, China Mieville. Now, I did one of China Mieville's books in my Hugo project. That was City in the City, which I quite enjoyed. This is probably one of his more famous books, apart from that one. And it's well thought of book, although as you can see, it's rather a weighty tome. It runs to 866 pages. So as much as I said I would read another China Mieville book, I don't think I'll be getting round to that one anytime soon. So yeah, that was a nice little buy anyway. And then the other one I got was a very nice condition book, one of Larry Niven's later books, Destiny's Road. I've got a lot of Larry Niven books now, and that was to say one of his later efforts in nice nick. Right, I bought very few off eBay because there haven't been. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip here because I'm losing my voice already. Excuse me. Right, we'll see if that's any better. No, I haven't bought many off of eBay because there's been very few decent job lots and bundles about, actually. The problem with having my collection of vintage is growing now. Problem with having a fairly decent collection of vintage is a lot of the job lots, you've got books in there and it becomes economically, not economically viable. I don't know if unviable is a word. But anyway, I picked up this one, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Now, this is not a science fiction book. It's more a fantasy type of book. Of course, they made a TV series out of it, which I've not seen. But it actually won the Hugo Award. That's why I bought it. So much later on, I shall be getting around to that one because that one runs to. Let's have a look. Oh, just 1,006 pages, no problem at all. I'll do that in a couple of days. Oh dear. Right, and then this was another one I picked up. Now, I mentioned the Outlaw Bookseller earlier. Great site, you should go there if you've got any interested in science fiction. Very knowledgeable chap. Ex-published, well, still a ex-bookseller, still a bookseller, I believe, and had a lot of dealings with publishers. And he actually got a load of these. Now, these Pan editions with this sort of like silver cover. Well, I don't know what you would call it, but it's actually called a lozenge edition, according to the Outlaw Bookseller. Whether that's a name he made up or whether it's proper term, I don't know. But yeah, he's got a large collection of these lozenge books, and I was so taken with them that I decided to make it my next project, if you like. So that's one I managed to pick up. One you don't see around too often. Not a particularly popular author, but I understand he's quite good. So yeah, that was one I picked up for my newly formed lozenge collection. This one I bought because it was another Hugo winner, Case of Conscience by James Blish. Quite a slim volume, so I'll be getting round to that very shortly, I would imagine. And I also bought these three as a bundle. We've got new writings in SF23. Now I collect these. There's 30 of them. I've got about just under 20, I think, so I've still got a few to go. The later ones are quite hard to find. So that's new writings in SF, and that was 23, 24, and 27, which I think is the last one that's reasonably priced. The ones after 27 are rather more expensive. But yeah, I'm trying to run a collection of them. Now, this next few were a donation to me by Peter, who sent me books before, and I'm very grateful for them. Now, I'll just show you this one first because I must have had this somewhere separate last time because I didn't show you from his last little bundle that he sent me. But I mean, that's strange to fit. Now, I've got, this is a nostalgia item for me because I remember this very well. It's a collection of weird facts, as you can see from the back. They're the greatest unsolved riddles, and there's a few of them. And I remember reading this and thoroughly loving it back in the 60s, I think it was. I don't know when this was. I'll just have a look. Yeah, second print in 1964. And yeah, I just thought I'd show you that one because it's a book that, as I say, has great nostalgic appeal to me. Right, let's get on to the science fiction-y stuff. There we go. I was surprised I didn't have this one actually. Neutron Star. I thought I had it, but I haven't. Got so many Niven books, I get lost off. Yeah, Sphere. It's again, it's quite decent condition, so happy with that one. Well, I'm happy with all of them. It's a name I'm not familiar with, Catherine Wells. It's a more contemporary book. I think it sort of like straddles the middle ground between science fiction and fantasy. The Earth is all that lasts. As I say, not familiar. First time in print, and it's an American edition, Del Rey. I'm very fond of American editions because most of the ones I kept when I had the big purge of books, of science fiction books, are American. And then we have a New English Library. Again, an author I've never heard of, Frida Warrington, Darker Than the Storm. Again, I think it's somewhere between, it's actually called science fantasy on there, so I think it's somewhere in the middle like the other one. But, yep, always pleased to get fantasy or science fiction. Now this one I was pleased to get, John Sladek, because he's an author that's very well thought of, but I don't have any of his books. So yeah, that's a nice first for me. That one will be from the 80s, I would imagine. Not many of these are vintage, that's why I'm not going through the publishing dates and what have you. because most of them are contemporary, although that particular one, I think that'll be a bit older. Yeah, that was published in 1977, so it's still vintage. And then another author that I don't have any books of, that I'm amazed that I don't have any, Barry Malzberg. He has a very big following, Barry Malzberg. It's one of those Marmite authors, you either love them or hate them, like Hull Nelson. But I was very pleased with that one because I believe that will be another 1970s jobby. Yeah, a bit earlier, 75, first printing, so first English printing. So that was good. Which brings me on to a little bundle that I did get from eBay very recently, and I was very pleased with these because they were cheap. I think they only worked out, I don't know, £1 each, I think. Or not much more anyway, which is ridiculous for what they are. Might have been a bit more, but not much more. And we got the Solar Book of New Science Fiction. They're again contemporary stuff, as you can see from the authors there. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories in there, and it's in a very nice condition. So, yep, happy with that one. And then we had the second book, volume 2, again, minty. There's that one, and there was also a volume 3. So these are more contemporary, but being short stories, you know, I would prefer contemporary short stories to the achingly long books that novels that they tend to do these days. There's another author I don't know any books of, and I've got 3 of them here. James White. This is a collection of shorts as well. Again, lovely condition. It's very hard to keep these books with white covers in nice condition, but this one's nice. The covers the pages are nice also, and yeah, this was a collection of stories from the 60s, and it was published in 1977. So vintage. Now these ones look more recent. All Judgment Fled by James White. Again, perfectly formed. I think this one will be a bit later. It looks a bit later, I can normally tell by the style of cover. That was printed in, that's handy, doesn't say. Oh yes, 1987, yeah, I thought it was a bit later. Sometimes you really got to scan the page where all the publishing information's on. And this one's obviously from the same series because it's got a similar cover. Futures Past. So yep, 3 books there from an author I don't own any of. Now these next ones are a collection of 6 books from Bob Shaw, who's a very well respected author. Most of the people I go to online for book reviews love this bloke. I've not read any of his novels. I've probably read some of his shorts, but not read any of his novels. Anyway, these were all pan in the lozenge style that I mentioned earlier, all in very, very nice condition. Ship of Strangers. It was a nice little boost actually to my lozenge collection. These came out in the 80s, I believe. Well, this one's 78, so from late 70s to the early 80s. I think these ran for about 5 years, these lozenge ones. And I just love this livery, you know. it's very striking. It's Medusa's children. Again, minty condition, which as I do like. Cosmic Kaleidoscope again. Very good nick. And I actually already have a copy of this, but it's tatty, very tatty, so I was happy to replace it. And of course, that's a play on the famous Who Goes There story. They made a film, The Thing, from John W. Campbell's Who Goes There, and I take it this is some sort of acknowledgement to it. Who goes here? And this book is very well thought of, Orbitsville. I've seen a few reviews of that. I've actually got another copy of that that's not a lozenge, so I might get a chance to read that in between some of my Hugo winners. And last but not least, we have Wreath of Stars. I do have one other Bob Shaw book in this it's hard to say, lozenge series, but I've already shown it to you. Yeah, okay folks, so that was a little haul. I did pick up some very, very recently from a charity shop, but I haven't sorted them out yet, so I'll show you them next time. Okay, that's about it for that little bundle. I will be back very shortly when I finish reading one of the books. I've got another 2 books in the Hugo project that I've A, finished, and B, almost finished. So I'll be back with another couple. So until then, I will thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to subscribe. And if you can, share these videos of mine. It would all help. And if you got any books you don't want, let me know. And we'll come to some arrangement. And I will see you very, very shortly, actually. Bye-bye now.